Morning and welcome, Patriot News Hour. Joe and Jason. Without the Jason, he is sick again. It's, you know what, I fought something for several weeks. It's just Jason's turn, but don't worry, because I asked my good buddy, JR, if he could fill in for Jason. He filled in for me when I was sick. I don't know if it was 2 Fridays ago. I think it was, and it couldn't be better timing. The Dow down again today, pretty significantly right now, down about 650. It's been struggling here as we've been talking about issues in the repo market. And I know JR, he really is, when it comes to money, he is one of the guys that knows exactly what's going on. You know, I know he talks a lot about, Dodd-Frank and, of course, how it left all of us vulnerable. Then of course they scrapped all the things that were supposed to make banks safer. Just the other day, I saw articles out again talking about how the biggest banks are less safe now than they were during the financial crisis. And I've been telling you, right, there's 2 things. One's good, one's bad, right? The reverse repo market, that's good if there's money there, right? That means banks have extra liquidity. And, of course, with Dodd-Frank, they were supposed to have extra liquidity. Hey, you guys, you can't lend out so much of that money. You got to keep a little more in reserves, in case these loans go bad quickly. You got to have more of a buffer, more of a cushion. Of course, then this thing called COVID came around, and they told the banks, hey, never mind. You know what? Not only do you not need more of a cushion, you don't need any cushion at all. And, of course, it didn't take a rocket scientist to figure out, well, the reverse repo markets are empty now. And now the problem is all of these banks are going to the repo market. That's bad. That means they don't have the cash on hand to pay what you and I need our banks to pay for. Mortgages, insurance, car payments, whatever, who knows, right? Hey, I had to go to the doctor today. I wrote a check. I used my debit card. I was at Walmart checking out for groceries. I had to get gas. I didn't have enough money at the end of the day. They had a lot of paper debt, but nobody would loan them money on their debt, so they have to go to the Fed. That is what is happening right now. This is why Wall Street's been getting hammered, going on 3 or 4 days now. That is it. That is the main thing behind it. But it's great to have JR with us today because, JR, he helps people plan their futures, and he is one of these guys that he's like, hey, putting all your money in the stock market is idiotic. Having your money spread out, having things that are real, those are things he tells his customers to do. He tells their customers, hey, you need to call Joe. And I'm telling my customers, hey, you need to call JR. JR, welcome. Thank you. I know that last night I kind of reached out to you and said, hey, any way you can move some appointments around and join us today, and I appreciate that. For those that haven't heard JR before, JR, just tell everybody a little bit about yourself. And, of course, you do a show on our sister station.
We do. So, good morning, Joe. Thank you so much for having me on. I mean, I'm sad that Jason's sick, but I'm definitely glad to be here. So, yeah, I mean, when you say that I'm a little bit different as an advisor, have you ever heard the commercials for the anti-lawyer lawyers? I am the anti-financial advisor. I think my industry has been pretty full of hooey for a long time, so I'm trying to combat that. Anyway, yeah, I do a podcast and a radio show on 960 The Patriot every Saturday at 5 in the morning and noon. And I feel like we complement each other so well because, I mean, you've been saying for the 15 years plus that I've been listening, people need to pay down debt. They need to be diversified. If they have the means, they should have 1 ounce of gold for every year they've been alive. I love what you do. So I've incorporated it into my practice. I believe I have a client that just went to see you yesterday. So I'm very, when you're in a world of people with a blue suit, white shirt, red tie, highly polished shoes, don't give a crap about your money. They just, they have to keep their seat. They've got pressure and quotas. That's not me. So I think that's why me and you are a good fit.
Yeah, I agree. I think so. And family owned and operated just like you are. And I think there's a lot of great synergies there. But when we get back, we're coming up on the break. We have another big down day in the market, but everybody doesn't, it's almost like they don't want to talk about the fact that the banks are in trouble here. So much so, there was a meeting in New York with the 25 lenders in the Treasury market. I'll tell you about that when we return. 800-951-0592. Joe and JR here. JR filling in for Jason. Our toll-free number here, 800-951-0592. A quick look at the markets. The Dow's down 600 points. The S&P's down 75. The Nasdaq's down 366. The 10-year note still elevated here, 411. Been hanging out around that level between 4.1 and 4.13 for quite a while. Gold right now is up 8, 4,055. Silver's up 35 cents, 50.50 on silver right now. And interesting that this is coming out now. But apparently last week, they had they have all these meetings all the time, but there was a meeting at the annual Treasury Market Conference. So remember, we talked about this last week, and I told you that the Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent was saying, okay, hey guys, in the next quarter or two, we're going to have to raise the auctions sizes. In other words, hey, the debt just keeps getting bigger, and we just need to raise them because we always have to, we never have enough, and we always got to do these refundings and blah, 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 and da-da-da. And, that's just what happens, right? That's the path that we are on, right? When we talk about why do you want to own gold, it's because of stuff like that. Simple. And the Treasury's already telling you, oh, yeah, we're going to borrow a lot more money. And we're just letting people know. Well, during this, New York Federal Reserve President John Williams. So when you think about the Federal Reserve, you have Jay Powell, right? He's number one. Then you've got the vice chair, right? And he's Waller. He's up for one of the nominees to replace Jay Powell. The third most important guy is the head of the New York Fed. Right? Obviously, why? Because that's where Wall Street is. Apparently, the Financial Times says they had a closed-door meeting with the 25 primary dealers of banks that underwrite the government's debt. In other words, the 25 banks that run the government auctions. And they're saying, by the way, here's what's interesting. CNBC now is finally confirming that the meeting took place. Now, of course, they didn't tell us last week, but according to the Financial Times, Williams was seeking feedback from these dealers on the use of the Federal Reserve's repo facility. Remember, that's bad, right? I keep telling you, we don't want them borrowing from the repo facility. If you could say at the end of the month, traditionally, right, that's the one time you would see maybe some usage, okay? Because that makes sense, right? Because first of the month's coming, right? Got a lot of money's going out. What we're seeing, though, now, they're borrowing more and more money every day. And it's not a good thing. And they're saying that in this meeting, he wanted the primary trading counterparties, i.e. these banks that run the auctions, to continue to keep the Federal Reserve engaged on the use of the repo facility and to get feedback that ensures it remains effective for rate controls. And JR, that's a lot of fancy speak. Sounds like what Williams was doing is saying, okay, guys, I need you to tell me when we need to start using quantitative easing again, because it looks like these primary dealers are saying, hey, guys, you're forcing us to buy all this debt. We don't have enough cash.
There is no money. I mean, I've been shouting to people, make sure you familiarize yourself with the term bail-in. I've been talking about a modern-day run on the banks for years. You know, we got a little taste of that with Silicon Valley Bank. No, I mean, Joe, you're right. This is so scary. And how many people know about it? 2%? 5%? It's certainly not 10% of the people I encounter. So, no, this is crazy.
Yeah, I don't think the vast majority of people know this is occurring. Granted, this is the idea, right? They created this repo facility back when all of this stuff first happened, the financial crisis, as a way to, well, you know, they're just cash poor right now. If they just need a few days, or maybe they need a week, then they create these repo facilities. Okay, well, you can borrow it for 30 days and 60 days and 90 days. And now the fact of the matter is, and I've said this to you guys, you know, here's the great thing about podcasting, right? You guys go back and listen. I've been telling you for 6 months, longer maybe, that quantitative easing is coming back.
Yes.
Right? Rate cuts are coming. Somebody said they're not sure if they're cutting rates. You're going to get nothing for your savings again. And this time, what makes it worse this time, JR, at least the last time they paid you nothing for like 15 years, they told you we didn't have any. Inflation was like 1%. If we could only get 2% inflation. Well, now, guess what? Now they're trying to tell you 3% is mild. And the fact of the matter is, JR, this is coming at a time where they're going to pay you nothing while running inflation hot. I mean, it's literally a double whammy on the consumer.
Yes. And how does it proceed? I mean, is it stagflation or hyperinflation? I mean, to me, none of it makes sense. You know, we had no inflation. Then we had transitory inflation. Now we've got a target of 3%. Now it's 2%. They've lost control. They know it. And very few of us know it.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. I want you to remind everybody, because you mentioned bail-ins, right? Because that's the big thing that changed, right? And why did they change it? And I'm going to make it really simple for you guys. There's only a handful of banks that matter. Right? We've got less than 4,000 banks, and quite honestly, 3,900 of them don't matter.
Right.
Right? I mean, you take the the 20 largest banks, probably, you know what, let's take the 30 largest banks. You got like 96% of all the deposits. Here's the problem. None of those banks can fail and not shock the system because they've gotten so big. All we got are a bunch of mega banks, and now, JR, we have a system where if any of them go, it's a cascading effect. But the thing about it is I don't think most people understand, because they're like, well, the financial crisis, they didn't take my money. The government bailed them out. That's not what's going to happen this time.
Nope. Well, and the government, they in a meeting that should have been closed door, I believe it was 3 years ago this month, they came out and said, we don't have the money. We are going to have trouble in the future. We don't know when. And they basically said the American people are too stupid to have that information. I have the video. It's over 3 hours long, but we've boiled it down to a couple of clips. So they knew this was coming. It's just when. And, when you talk about 4,000 banks, that seems like a high number. That seems like a lot of banks. That's only about 80 banks per state. My fear with the contagion, if a few banks start to go and it makes it to the mainstream news, people are going to panic. The people that are asleep are going to wake up suddenly when they go to pull their money. A, if they ask for cash, they're going to have quite a surprise when they can't get it. And B, then the word will get out. So this could get very scary in very short order.
Yeah, the people that have gone in and asked, hey, give me, I'd like $5,000 or $10,000, and the bank goes, oh, well, we don't have that, right? Yeah, you can order it, and, you can come back, next Tuesday, and we can get you your money. And people are, it's funny how shocked they are. It's almost like, well, they just don't believe when we tell them that's what's going to happen. That's what's happening right now. The only banks that have any kind of money at all are the larger ones, like they have heavy traffic. But if you're you go to the smaller bank, I don't care if it's Chase Bank, Citibank, Bank of America, Wells Fargo, the big ones. The vast majority will tell you, well, if you go to our downtown branch, they may be able to give you $5,000. They may be able to give you $10,000. But no, not at this one, right? You're not going to get that here. I can order it for you. People are going to be shocked when the next crisis comes and they go to the bank and try to take their money out, JR. I think that's what's really going to shock them. Hey, I want to close my account, or I want to write a check for $100,000, and the bank says, you can't do that right now. That literally, part of the rules of bail-ins is the banks can prevent people from doing these things.
Yes. And, to me, it's so simple. Look around the world. Look at Argentina, Brazil, Venezuela, Cyprus, Greece. Wasn't there a small bail-in for a short period of time in Detroit, Michigan, when they filed for bankruptcy? Didn't some people have trouble getting money out of the bank during that period? It is global. We always think we're immune from the rest of the world's problems, and I think it's a matter of time. It's if, not when. I'm sorry, it's when, not if. People are going to have to wake up.
Yeah, and again, this is just a warning, right? The cool part, I guess, of this facility and having these facilities, the reverse repo facility, the repo facility, is it does allow for people like myself, people like JR, to educate people as to what is going on. This is a warning. Right, here's another warning. This morning we heard from Home Depot. What did Home Depot say? Sales aren't so good anymore. Right? Home Depot, one of the best performers out there. Another sign that the consumer is hurting. Repo, car repossessions, the highest levels going back to 2009. I mean, that was like the height of the crisis and getting worse. And then J.P. Morgan coming out and saying that there's echoes all over the market when it has to do with debt and the repo facilities and the end to the government shutdown, saying that one of the big reasons the shutdown ended, JR, was because the repo market was getting ready to blow up, and this ended up, at least to them, this is why the shutdown essentially came to an end.
They'll never admit it, Joe.
Well, you know what we say when the government says they're here and they want to help. Yeah, well, guess what? The Treasury markets are needing help. Patriot Radio News Hour will be back after the break. 800-951-0592. Gold's up 21, 40.68. Silver now up over 55 cents here. $50.70. Listen, I've got JR's with us, so I wanted to have a big special because I think it's important, especially in light of here we go again. Right? Here we go again. The government and the Federal Reserve playing tricks to try to pretend they aren't backed into the corner. The repo facility, listen, there's no coming back from this. They're going to have to start quantitative easing again. And the problem is the Fed are so slow in their reactions. Are we going to have more bank failures because of their inaction? And am I out here telling you, oh my gosh, get all the money out of your bank and sell all your stocks? No. What I am telling you is heed the warning and take some of that excess and put it into gold and silver. That's what I'm telling you. Take some risk off the table because things are getting scary again. Right? There's no money, and there's not going to be any money in the reverse repo facility. It's gone. It's all gone. And the Treasury's already said, well, guys, we got to sell more debt. And, of course, the government shutdown didn't help either. Now they got to sell even more debt. And the banks are like, whoa, hey, we don't have any money. Who's going to buy it? Because we can't buy it. Their treasuries, we can't even give treasuries to people. They won't even let us borrow against the treasuries. We got to go to you. So in lieu of that, I've only got 20 of them, but that's what walked in the door over the last few days. I've got 2020s for $4,075. Spot right now, $4,067 right now. $4,067. So my public school math, that's $8 over spot. Yeah, that's the type of deal that you can get here. It doesn't happen all the time. It just depends on what walks in the door. Great opportunity. Take some of that money that's sitting in the bank that you don't need and get more protected right now. Because, JR, listen, this is an easy one. They're literally saying in meeting and saying, okay, we've got a problem. Too much debt, not enough money.
Yeah, they're coming out and saying it. And look around the world. Look at Vietnam right now. I mean, we have so much on the table. digital ID. I mean, they start with real ID. That goes to digital ID. They've got their finger over the button. They're ready for a reset. So while we still have some time, yes, gold, silver, put some cash at home. Do your grandchild gifting right now. Let Joe explain Texit to you. There's options, but you have to hurry.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's getting, the noose is getting tighter and tighter. And one of the things, you're seeing all these central banks flying into gold, and really you need to pay close attention to what's really happening. Indonesia, who, by the way, Indonesia, why do I care about Indonesia? Well, because Indonesia is like the 8th largest and really tied for like the 6th largest gold producer in the world. By the way, we're barely ahead of Indonesia in gold production. Guyana, Mexico, Indonesia are basically tied for 6th, 7th, and 8th. Obviously, China and Russia mine more gold than anybody, than Australia. They're under 300 metric tons. Canada's at 200 metric tons. The United States, we're at about 150. And then there's Guyana, Mexico, Indonesia at about 130 metric tons apiece. And Indonesia just came out and said, hey, nah, we're not going to be selling our gold out into the market. We're going to slap a huge tariff, 10 to 15% tariff on all of our nuggets, ingots, cast bars to leave the country. And then on top of that, news broke over the weekend. Not only the unseasonably high demand in China's gold markets, but that the Chinese are actually buying, listen to this, 10 times more gold than they're actually reporting. But JR, this is another sign. What these central banks are saying is we'd rather hold gold than hold U.S. treasuries. We'd rather hold gold than hold European treasuries or Japanese treasuries or English or Chinese treasuries. We'd rather hold gold than hold cash. We'd rather hold gold really than any other thing, because of the fact that all the other things that they tell us we can hold are debt instruments, and we don't want more debt instruments.
Yeah, I mean, and when you look at paper, I mean, it's all going to be thin air soon. When you talked a while back about revaluing gold, is that still something our government is looking at, for the purposes of managing our $38 trillion in debt?
I would say that, 5 years ago, I would have said, that's nonsense, right? That's just idiotic thinking. I think now, not only is it no longer idiotic thinking, I would say that there is a good chance, and by good chance, greater than, 30, 40%, probably 50-50 chance that the United States and others will revalue the price of gold significantly higher. And I'll tell you why that is when we get back. 800-951-0592, Patriot Radio News Hour, $20 gold pieces. Right now, they're $10 over spot. Spot right now, $4,065. $20 gold pieces today. Well, at least for the first 20. Then they go back, to $42.75. So you're saving $200 on these 20 that I have. $4,075 at 800-951 0592. JR was talking, and I was first talking about how many central banks, why so many are buying so much gold. And then JR asked about, will they revalue gold? And why would they do so? And the answer is quite simple. Because it's a paperwork game. Right now, the U.S.'s gold reserves, if they are to be believed, at the 8,000 metric tons, is worth $1 trillion. On the books, well, they only value gold at like $42, right? That was when they did that, closed the gold window, 1971. You can tell what a great job they've done. Basically gold's gone from $42 to $4,200. Nice job, guys. Nice job. Right? But they could revalue gold. Now, a bunch of countries have already done it. I want that to be known. They value the gold at its spot price. They can make a journal entry, and this is why they would do it, that would essentially say we can take, let's take the $1 trillion, and all of a sudden use that, collateral to wipe away $1 trillion in treasury. So in other words, every treasury auction, they could say, well, we're gonna use $5 billion worth of our gold every auction for the next however many auctions, right, to alleviate pressure, right? Kind of what the balance sheet, increasing the balance sheet is going to do. The problem is, when they start quantitative easing again, guys, eventually people are going to get, okay, this is, the balance sheet's 10 trillion, 12 trillion, 15 trillion. This is ridiculous. If they do it, and I think, like I said, the chances get bigger every day, it won't be at $4,000. Is it going to be $10,000, $20,000? Right? Because remember, whatever price they decide, they can now use to essentially say, hey, the amount of debt we've got to sell is a lot less now because we're gonna use this gold. We're gonna essentially sell, wink, wink, nod, nod, all the gold in our stockpile as a way to buy time in these markets. I think, JR, this is what I think. I think that's more and more likely, and I think they may do it kind of like a two-step. We're going to reevaluate gold, and whether that's 10,000, 20,000, 50,000, I don't know. It's going to be a big number, that I know. And we're going to have this digital currency, and somehow, because of the gold reevaluation, it will give credibility to the digital.
Yes. Well, and I have some good news for you. During that last break, I called Geraldo Rivera, and he is willing to meet you and I over at Fort Knox to help the government audit it.
Oh, well, you know what? It'll be, I hope it's not like Al Capone's vault. Right. I remember that growing up. I don't, if you're a little older, for you younger people, you're like, what is Geraldo Rivera? What Al Capone's vault? This was a big deal. Like when I was a kid, right? They ran commercials. Cable was. I don't even know if cable was out by then. It was out by then, but it was still relatively new. And they had found Al Capone's vault, and they were going to open it live on TV. And they opened it. Of course, JR, there was nothing there, right? There was no treasure in Al Capone's vault.
Well, and that's what I'm afraid they're going to find here. So I hope they reevaluate it soon.
Well, the sooner the better. But again, these are signs. Why is Joe so confident that, like today, $4,075? This is an steal it, run to the phone. If you want to use Texit to buy at $4,075, you absolutely can do that. If you want to use gold and silver to buy Texit, you can do that as well. But this is something where all the signs are here. Here's what we know. The government shutdown's over. The big, beautiful bill spending's getting ready to kick in. The Treasury has said, oh, hey, by the way, we're going to have to increase the auction sizes. And now the repo facility is being flooded because banks are out of cash and all as they have is Treasury debt. And nobody wants it. We'll be back. Final segment coming up. 800-951-0592. I got two lines open. Get a 20, get two 20s, get whatever 20s are left. $4,075, $10 over spot at 800-951-0592. By the way, Goldman Sachs is now reporting central banks are accelerating their buying of gold. So there you go. I mean, the hits just keep coming as this repo market worry spreads. But JR, first of all, thank you for filling in for Jason today. But how do people get a hold of you if they're looking for a financial advisor? They like what you have to say. How do people get a hold of you?
So we're at 623-523-0444. Or you can email us at team@anothermoneyshow.com. And again, we're on 960.
Yeah, I was just going to say, that's your show on 960. Yeah. What time are you on 960?
We're on 5 in the morning for you early risers. And then for sane people, we're on again at noon.
And that's Saturdays.
Yes. Yep.
There you
and
go.
We've got a YouTube channel.
Go ahead.
On YouTube, we've got podcasts, so we're easy to find. Just do a quick internet search, and you'll find Another Money Show all over the place. And call us. Reach out to Macy. Reach out to me. Reach out to Anthony, Sandy. I mean, we're a fourth generation, fully independent, fiduciary, veteran-owned family practice. So we check the right boxes. We're not a big wirehouse that doesn't care about you. So we would love to meet you. Love to sit down with you.
There you have it. Thank you so much. And speaking of hits, here you go, gold 40.67. Elliott Capital is now saying that they have taken a major stake in Barrick, saying that the trend is going to continue. Taking a major stake now in Barrick Mining. And Elliott agreeing with Goldman Sachs that the trend to gold is going to continue. And now I'm just hearing Qatar, 20 metric tons bought. Omar, 7 metric tons. The Chinese jumped up here, 15 metric tons. So be your own central bank. Be your own central bank. Get more of your liquidity into gold and silver, stuff that you've already earned. Get it protected. And listen, let's just hope it's organized, right? That's what I say. When it comes to the debt markets and banking, hopefully it can be organized because the debt is unpayable. We all know it's unpayable. It's a house of cards. It's going to collapse. They will put something else in its place. We think we know what it is. I mean, I think everybody knows what it is. It's going to be digital money. That's why we talk to you about Texit coin on top of your gold and silver. And, of course, now you can get with JR with your other stuff, your other financial stuff. Like we said, being diversified, probably more important than ever. When debt markets come crumbling down, the people that are most diversified are the ones that do the best.